Today is the 3rd of October and I'm here at Wisley tending to our bonsai collection, and the birds that you can hear are actual birds twittering in the trees. So this is the Herons Bonsai Walk, which has been here as a bonsai collection since 1997. But this particular location in the Wisley Garden was established in 2012, which is 7 years ago. And I come here once a month to tend to the trees and to look after the trees. And because we're in October, there's a lot of lovely colors, so I'll show you some of the trees that are just about to turn the autumn color. This is just an ordinary Acer palmatum, and these were made on our nursery from ordinary garden trees. So this tree, although it says 65, I've been training this for over 30 years, and this has been at Wisley for the last 3 years. This is a nice root over rock, again in very good condition. This was one of the imports from way back in 1995, but it's been at Wisley for the last 5 years. This hasn't started turning color yet. I would like to show you this one. We grow a lot of crab apples on the nursery, but this particular variety, I don't know what the variety is. Look at the fruit, it's absolutely loaded with fruit. And if I turn the tree around, you can see all those lovely fruit. They're like cherries almost. Look at it. I've never seen such a good crop on this tree ever. All my other ones don't have such large fruit, but this one has particularly large fruit. So this has been a good year for this tree. There are, I think, 36 or 38 trees in our collection here. This is a Japanese beech forest, or the Japanese white beech. This has also been at Wisley for many years. Japanese white pines at this time of the year have a lot of old needles which we have to clean, but because there's so many needles, I'm going to take this back to the nursery to swap it for another tree. So we brought some replacement here. This is another of our spectacular tridents. This one has a beautiful base. If you look at the base, absolutely spectacular, and with natural hollows in the trunk. Beautiful nebari and lovely shaped trunk, mature branches. These are all from the same batch that I developed since 1993. This is a Sylvestris, Pinus Sylvestris bouverensis, or the dwarf Scots Pine. I started training all these trees before I went to the nursery. I purchased them as garden trees or nursery trees in 1980. I purchased 50 of them, and I turned every single one of them into bonsai. So the trunk must have quadrupled or more in size, because when I bought them, they were only like 1 or 1.5 inch in diameter. So this has been developed in only the last 35 or 37 years from scratch. This is an ordinary European beech, or the Fagus sylvatica. There's a story behind this tree. This was taken from the hedge in my front garden. When I moved to Herons in 1986, I dug this tree from the hedge and started making it into a bonsai. So it's been only like 33 years in the making, but look at it. I'm very proud of this specimen. Magnificent specimen as a homemade native beech tree. Although this mulberry has been growing in the full sun, it hasn't shed its leaves, and it's absolutely magnificent. I've never seen mulberries with such beautiful color. Even on our own nursery, we don't have color like this. So top marks to the staff at Wisley. They're looking after our trees well. This is a homemade Scots Pine. These were grown from 1-year plants. So 1-year plants, so this is only 34 years in the making. But it's been trained as a bonsai all that time. mainly in pots. I love big bonsai, and these are again are some of the maples that we've made from ordinary field-grown trees from our nursery. So this has been developed from scratch, and look at the size of this tree. I use mainly mica pots here in case they fall off the plinths and break. So although they are mica pots, they are very convincing. They look very good. You couldn't tell that they are not ceramic pots. And this is just turning color. Very lovely specimen. This large forest I started making back in 1980. I think I've shown you this in another video, and it's developed a lot since that time, and it's thickened quite a bit. When I made this group, I was probably one of the first people to use such tall trees to make a forest, and many people raised their eyebrows because they thought it wasn't the done thing, but it has worked well. Again, really genuine age to this tree, nothing fake about it. We are fond of the tridents, and this is another grand specimen. Look at the base on that. This is just grown in the full sun, and because this is a permanent display, the trees are not protected in the winter. And this hedge acts like a funnel, and in the winter the wind really blows through this like the Khyber Pass, and it gets very cold, and despite that the trees have all stayed in brilliant condition. This elm I brought in the summer of this year, so I've changed this tree. We took the cedar forest back to the nursery and changed it for this. This is a beautiful specimen of Chinese elm. The Chinese elm, which is often grown as indoor bonsai, but we always feel that they grow better as an outdoor tree. This garden was designed and made by me when we moved to this site in 2012. So have a look at some of it. This is a lovely lantern. We sell some of these lanterns on the nursery. And I would just like to show you this tree arrangements, or the tree rocks in this beautiful arrangement. And these are the creeping juniper. We use creeping juniper here because we found that if you try and grow moss in a garden, it doesn't grow well. So the junipers really are a substitute for moss. But look at that beautiful effect. And this variety is called, I think, blue carpet. And it is really like a carpet. I'm now going to show, we have two big garden trees here. These garden trees are very valuable now. This is a Japanese yew. Taxus cuspidata is a garden tree, and if you come closer, it's got a beautiful trunk here. We planted this in 1997, and in the year 2012, when we moved from the other location in Wisley, we took it up with a huge root ball, but we moved it very successfully. The other large garden tree we moved is this one. So this is an old Japanese white pine, and this has been planted in the ground. It was moved from the other site in 2012, so hopefully this will never be moved again. We've got to clean the needles, because at this time of the year all needles do turn yellow, so they've got to be cleaned up. So that's a job maybe for another time, because I've only got limited time to spend here. We'll walk on the other side and show you the other bonsai. This is a large Deshojo, but some of the leaves have already shed, because the Deshojos tend to shed their leaves much earlier. But this is a lovely multi-trunk specimen. Again, a very large specimen of bonsai. This is a Chinese juniper planting, two Chinese junipers on Ibigawa rock. That's another of our homemade bonsai, large mountain maple. I like to stand next to it because they are large trees. You don't get a sense of scale unless someone's standing next to it. And while we're here, we've got a change of trees. We do change the trees from time to time. So these trees are all in lovely autumn color. So this lovely Japanese larch, we're going to change it for something else. And a single specimen of formal upright Japanese white beech. This is also going to replace another tree that I have here. The Satsuki Azaleas only look nice when they're in flower, but this particular tree, because it's got so much character because of the thick trunk, is on permanent display here. But I may change it on another visit. At Wisley, a lot of the members, when they pass on, they like to have a commemorative plaque and they make a donation, and all these lovely benches are donated by people who would love coming to Wisley, so we like seeing this. This is another of our crab apples, but this one hasn't got as much fruit as the other one I showed you earlier, but it's got a beautiful trunk. But I have always pointed out that fruiting trees fruit and flower well every second year. So one year they rest and the next day they will do well. So although this one hasn't got much fruit this year, the following year it will have much more flowers and much more fruit. Another of our rock compositions. The three rocks together in a triangular formation. And again, the junipers have been grown as ground cover. I have to do a lot of work because these needles are the autumn needles that are shedding. I have to do some work on it. I'll see if I have enough time to do it. And then we move on to this. This is a horse chestnut, or what we call the Concord tree. So normally the Concord trees, they have leaves the size of a dinner plate. But look at the size of the leaves here. To have reduced the leaves to this size is quite an achievement. I certainly think so. Look at the size of the Concord leaf. You know, that is really, really small. And although this is a common species, this particular one is the red variety. I like to display it at Wisley because it's a talking point. Not many people think of using the common horse chestnut for bonsai, and it just shows people what you can do with an ordinary species like this. Another of our homegrown trident maples. These were probably not imported. They're just grown as field trees and then branches grown again. This is the famous Chinese juniper that I feature in my second book, Bonsai Masterclass. I will show you a picture from that book to show you the before effect. And the distinctive feature of this tree is that I entwined two branches together to make one. Again, in those early days, back in 1987 when I made this, many people never thought of doing that. So I did it just for fun, for a laugh. But I will show you, this was from an ordinary garden center, Bloor's juniper. So it's not the true imported Chinese juniper. This is a true variety called the Kisu, and this is one of the common species or forms of juniper that are used for bonsai. Again, they need a tidy up, so this is what I usually do when I come here. I tidy up the trees. Ginkgo is usually just grown in a flame shape. Again, this is kept here 12 months of the year, exposed to all the sun, rain and the cold and the snow, and it seems to be doing extremely well. Autumn colors are just starting to appear. Another of my dwarf Scots pines, Pinus sylvestris bubernensis. So at this time of the year, we come here to clean up the foliage, because the foliage from the old second and third year needles will start dropping, and you've got to clean it out to make it look better. And we have 4 more trees. I'll quickly run through that. Chinese elm with exposed roots, and the distinguishing feature of this tree is got this weird branch and then it springs up again. If you just cut it off, it'll look like any ordinary tree, but because of that weird branch, it makes it distinctive. So that's something you always look for. You know, you don't want everything looking common and similar. This is a Austrian black pine, or Pinus austriaca. Again, showing that The needles need to be cleaned out. This is made from garden center or nursery material. I started making this probably about 20 years ago, and it has been shown at Wisley for the last 5 years, certainly the last 5 years. So this was made from scratch. Another of our field-grown trees. We have hundreds, if not thousands, of these larches on our nursery as semi-trained material, and this is just a fun thing that I made many years back. Although it loses branches, I leave the branches on because it makes it look old. It gives it the semblance of being an old tree. And yet another trident. I'm very fond of the tridents, and all these tridents have got beautiful nibari and beautiful taper on the trunk. It only needs a little bit of trim, and because the structure is so beautiful on these trees, when they are without leaf, they are still beautiful trees to admire. So here I have just a general look of our collection, and I hope you enjoy it. Thank you.